I didn't know it yet, but we weren't alone up there. We hadn't been from the moment we arrived. We were 100 miles from the nearest town. No road, no telephone, no one for miles in any direction. It was my honeymoon. I wanted Hawaii. This was the late 70s. We'd been married 2 days. He'd planned the whole thing himself in secret. He packed the car and drove us for hours up into the mountains. He didn't ask me what I wanted. He never did, really. That was just him. I'd imagined a hotel on the beach, a balcony, room service, the sound of the ocean. Instead, I had a backpack, new hiking boots, and a husband too excited to disappoint. He insisted on carrying most of the gear. After 3 hours of hiking, we reached the campsite. I was exhausted. My feet hurt, and I was trying very hard to be a good sport about the whole thing. The campsite was a rustic one. It had an outhouse and a picnic table under a covered roof, and a stone fireplace built into it. It was actually quite beautiful. And we thought we were completely alone. He tried to set up the tent. He'd gone camping as a boy 15 years before, and he'd clearly forgotten more than he remembered. The poles went in the wrong order, the whole thing collapsed twice. He was so determined and so completely lost at the same time. I sat on a rock and watched him. We got the fire going that evening, watched the sun go down through the trees, long orange streaks through the pines. We lay on our backs and looked at the stars, and there were so many of them. I had never seen so many. The first night was perfect, I'll say that. He woke me early the next morning, very excited. There was something he wanted to show me. He'd been planning it. He wouldn't tell me what it was. He led me down a small trail, maybe a 40-minute walk from the campsite, to a waterfall. The water came off the mountain, ice cold, but we swam anyway. We were young and happy and stupid, the way you are at the beginning of things. And then we heard it. It came from somewhere in the trees further up the mountain. I don't know how to describe it exactly. It wasn't like any animal I'd ever heard. It was deep, low, and long. We froze, and then it stopped. We talked about it on the way back, decided it must have been a bear or an elk, something with a reasonable explanation. But on the walk back, I had the feeling I was being watched, and I knew it wasn't my imagination. I mentioned it to him. He took my hand and said, "We're fine." And I wanted to believe him, I really did. That afternoon the weather changed fast. These mountain storms, they don't warn you. One moment the sky is clear and the next it's dark. We got under the covered picnic area and lit the cooking fire and made dinner like nothing was wrong. And then we heard the sound again, closer this time. That was the second time. There would be a third. He said nothing, just kept cooking. I could see him listening, and I could tell he was trying to hide it. He made a little joke, handed me my plate. And then the thunder started, and we retreated to the tent as it got dark. The lightning was extraordinary, long white flashes that lit up the whole tent like it was day. We could see our own shadows against the fabric. And then the snapping began. A crack, somewhere nearby. He said, "Dead branch." The storm knocked it loose. A minute later, another. Same explanation. He was calm about it and said, "If a whole tree is dead, you'll hear several branches come off, one after another." He was right. It made sense, and I relaxed. And then a sound that was not a branch, something much closer, and from a different direction entirely. I grabbed his arm. He grabbed me back. He didn't say anything for a long time. And when he did, his voice was different, quieter than I'd ever heard it. He said, "Let's get our shoes on, just in case." So we did. We put our shoes on and lay down on top of our sleeping bags. If we needed to run, we didn't want to fight our way out. Neither of us spoke. The rain was very loud. I don't know how, but we fell asleep, both of us, exhausted, I suppose. About an hour later, a crack of thunder woke us both at the same time. The storm had gotten worse. The rain was heavier. The wind was screaming through the trees. And then another flash of lightning. And on the other side of our tent, in the light, there was a shadow, a figure, standing right there, very large, very still. I need you to understand something. We were 100 miles from another living soul. There was no one who could have been standing outside that tent. No one. We didn't move. We didn't breathe. We just looked at each other in the dark. The next flash of lightning came, and it was gone. We sat there all night, hand on the flashlight, not making a sound. We did not go back to sleep. We waited for daylight. He unzipped the tent very slowly and stepped out. I heard him stop. He didn't say anything for a long moment. Then he called my name and said, "You need to come out here." Piled in a heap, there were dozens of tree branches, large ones, branches that would have taken 2 people to lift, stacked into a pile 8 feet high and 10 feet across. In the wet earth on the other side of that pile, there was a footprint, at least 2 feet long, 10 inches wide, a single clear footprint pressed deep into the mud. I looked at it for about 4 seconds. Then I picked up my bag and I said, "We are leaving right now." He started to argue about the tent. "Leave it," I said. He looked around once more and then he agreed. We moved fast. The sun was out, the path was clear, the car was in the opposite direction from the waterfall, from wherever the sounds had come from. I felt better with every step. I thought, we are going to be all right. We were about 2 hours down the path when he stopped dead. I walked right into his back. I didn't know it yet, but this was the moment everything went wrong. Not the storm, not the shadow, this. He put his backpack down and started going through it with this look on his face. I said, "What is it? What's wrong?" And he looked at me and said, "The car keys." They were back at the tent. He said he would go back. I should carry on to the car. There might be other hikers or people in the parking area. He would meet me in a few hours with the keys. People still ask me why I didn't go back with him, why we split up at all. I've asked myself that every day since. He kissed me. He told me not to worry. He said he'd be quick. And he turned around and walked back up the path. That was the last time I saw him. I waited at the car for hours. Then it got dark. I broke the window to get inside and spent the night there. He never came. In the morning, I was found by a forest ranger doing a routine patrol. A search party was organized. They found the campsite, our tent, our supplies, just as we'd left them. No pile of branches. No footprint. No sign of my husband. They searched for weeks. They never found him. They never found anything. And there is one thing I've never told anyone. Not the rangers, not the police, not even my second husband. I've thought about it every single day for 40 years. After I finally got home, in the very bottom of my pack, I found the car keys.